The Worst Equestrian Necromancer, Chapter 17, A Very Merry Hearth Swarming. Twilight Sparkle grunted as she rolled over in her bed. She was awake, but there were a couple of reasons that she didn't want to actually greet the day. One, her alarm clock hadn't gone off yet. While the little piece of clockwork was often her mortal nemesis, it was stalwart in its purpose to wake her up exactly on schedule. The only thing worse than getting out of bed was getting out of bed early. Two, the sun wasn't shining through her window. The only light seeping through her eyelids was the flickering glow of torches. She thought about it for a moment, wondering why there would be torchlight in her little Ponyville library. She snapped her eyes open as she added getting out of bed somewhere different than where he went to sleep to the list. She was sadly not in her home. The first hint of this was the torches mounted on the stone walls. The second clue was the jail cell her entire bed was in. She bolted up, staring at her surroundings. The cell was large enough for 6 beds to fit inside of it comfortably. Twilight looked in horror at each of the beds in the room. The soft silk severity sheets caught her eye before the rough cotton of Applejack's quilts distracted her. Sure enough, every single one of her best friends was stuck in the cell with her. She did the first thing that popped into her mind and screamed. Her friends all scrambled awake, falling from their beds and in one case flying straight up, and hitting the ceiling with such force that the stone cracked. Rainbow's voice broke through the silence that invaded the room.
What the buck? My house doesn't have a stone roof!
The friends didn't speak as they took note of their cell, instead falling into the habit gleaning from fighting evil for the past few years. Fluttershy silently hid behind Rainbow, looking over her head as Twilight ran a few diagnostic spells. Applejack began poking at the walls as Rarity inspected the bars. When they all finished their inspection, Twilight broke the silence.
We're locked in with dark magic, but it's weak. There's enough solar magic where we are that I could probably break it in a few minutes, but the pony that cast it would know as soon as they started.
A voice seemed to come from the ceiling.
If they were half the wizard Ragar was, they would feel it when you started the diagnostic.
There was a pause as Twilight looked around in abject horror before a cough came from the ceiling, followed by a skull sinking through the solid stone.
Also, if you could play along for the next hour or so, Ragar would be most appreciative. Heart swarming for Canterlot is on the line.
The pony stared in confusion as Ragar's head spun around, looking at each of them. After a moment, he spoke again.
Could you all move together? Ragar can't decide who to look at.
The group all slowly moved to center on Twilight, who was still focused on the idea of one of her mentor's oldest friends kidnapping her.
Ragar, you can't just kidnap us for no reason!
Ragar's skull nodded.
Of course not! Ragar has kidnapped you to save Hearth Swarming! The fact that Ragar is the one who stole it has no bearing on the matter. Fear not, a warrior foretold by legend will arrive soon to free you. Also, there are fake versions of your elements under each of your beds. If you would kindly put them on, the warrior will be here soon. Ragar must prepare his final boss room for your arrival. Ragar put it off for far too long, and Black Sun has been less than helpful after I told him to put you on the cell. He is grumpy about missing some meeting this morning.
Twilight stared at the skeleton.
He was meeting me for breakfast. We were going to head to Canterlot this afternoon and meet with Celestia.
Ragar paused.
Oh, well then Ragar has saved you the train fare, as we're already in Canterlot. Ragar's plans are even more brilliant than he thought.
The skull ascended through the roof, with his trademark laugh following behind him. Applejack leaned into Twilight's ear.
Sugar Cube, did that there Mr. Bones just say that he stole Hearth Swarming?
Twilight slapped a huff to her face.
Yes, he did. Everyone just play along. Ragar is mostly harmless. He just does things without thinking.
Fluttershy moved to her bed, reaching under it for the false version of her elements.
Is he the one who makes those theme parks scattered around Equestria? I think I remember visiting the Zoo of Ragar when I was younger.
Rarity was the one to answer, surprising the rest of the group.
Oh yes, darling! The nobility has all sorts of theories around him. If the rumors are to be believed, he's an immortal like Celestia. But no pony knows the details. Rumors ranging from him being a scorned lover to a secretive warlord fly around the palace with more regularity than the guards.
Twilight stared at Rarity before shaking her head, dispelling the fact that she had never heard those rumors during her time in Canterlot.
Yes. He also apparently has Celestia's permission to study black magic. Also, I think he's completely insane, if harmlessly so. Some ponies claim otherwise, but I don't buy it.
Applejack shrugged, grabbing her own fake from its spot.
Well then, I guess it can't hurt to play along. Who do you figure this lost warrior is?
Before any of the group could voice their thoughts, hoofsteps began to sound through the hall. A young voice cut through the dungeon.
Stupid dad, always going away on a business trip and stupid wizard stealing stupid Hearth Swarming when I don't even get to celebrate. Why do I have to be the stupid hero to save it?
The girls paused at the young voice before moving to the cell bars, looking down the hallway to find the fool who was obviously the hero Ragar had mentioned. They saw a simple colt with mustard-colored fur and orange mane grumbling as he walked down the hallway. Rarity was the first to act, catching on to Ragar's plan as soon as she saw the foal frowning at the floor.
Oh my, we're saved! The heroes finally arrived!
The foal froze, staring at the cell. His eyes seemed to widen, staring at the famous heroes of Equestria.
You're the elements of harmony! Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, USB Discord!
He began making complicated hoof gestures while sitting down.
He was all like, roar! And then he went pew pew and shot him with a friendship laser!
Rainbow Dash smiled, hovering behind the bars.
Yeah, that's totally us, but we're kind of on a schedule, kid. Think you can let us out real quick?
The foal nodded.
Yeah!
He sprinted up to the cell, pulling it open while smiling like a madmare. He was jumping in place by the time the mares walked out, and nearly fell when Pinkie began matching his jumps to look at him in the eyes.
Hi, I'm Pinkie Pie. Are you here to help us beat the meanie who's still heartswarming?
The foal nodded, keeping his bounces in rhythm with a pink pony.
Uh-huh, I'm Gilded Crown. I got visited by a ghost who told me to save heartswarming and sent me down here.
Pinkie Pie nodded.
So you know what way to go then?
Crown nodded.
Yeah, come on!
With that, he ran down the hallway, with the 6 mares following closely behind. They had very few interruptions. The only thing that even tried to stop them were badly painted cardboard cutouts in the shape of wendigos. However, the final door did stump them. Crown stared at it with a grimace.
Oh, come on, there's not even a handle!
Twilight paused as the whispered voice of Ragar seemed to come from right beside her.
Only the hero of heartswarming could ever open that door. One who truly knows that heartswarming is inside the hearts, not the decorations.
Twilight looked around, seeing only empty air, before she fully caught on to what Ragar said. With a meaningful nudge at Rainbow Dash, she sat down.
Oh no, without the decorations, heartswarming is ruined!
Rainbow looked between Twilight and the door for a minute before playing along.
Yeah, I bet that awesome new scooter I got for Scootaloo is still in there too!
Applejack looked at them confused before finally getting the hint.
Oh, how can I celebrate heartswarming without the Apple Family fruitcake recipe?
Rarity went into full act fetlock deep, swooning backwards into Twilight's hooves.
Why without my newest outfits, however will I make heartswarming truly memorable?
Fluttershy didn't say anything, instead looking dejectedly at the floor. Seeing his heroes losing hope, Crown did the only thing a foal could do. Try to make them feel better.
Oh, that's not true at all.
He moved to the door, pushing it as hard as he could.
As long as we keep trying, we can't lose. Besides, heartswarming is about being friends, and all the gifts and stuff aren't important. It's about being with the ponies and people that you love.
The door moved an inch, and his grin exploded.
See? If we can all work together, we can open this door super easy.
Twilight moved Rarity aside and began pushing beside him.
You're right, Crown. As long as we hold heartswarming deep in our hearts, it'll be there forever.
The other mares moved forward, each one opening the door more and more until finally the door creaked open. And that revealed the most decorated room to ever exist. Every single decoration from the city of Canterlot was festooned about the room. Heartswarming logos were stacked to the ceiling of the vaulted chamber, tinsel covered every inch of the walls, and stacks of gifts covered the entire floor, except for a small path that led to a lone figure in the center of the room. It was a pony with pure green hair making up his spiky mane. The red and white suit covered his midriff, a jarring contrast to the rest of him. He was smiling a devilish grin as he looked over his haul. When he spoke, it was in a dulcet tone that would have been beautiful if not for the sinister edge it carried.
I've done it. All of my heartswarming is here. Without all the decorations, I won't have to deal with all these incessant noises they make. The ringing bells, the happy cheers, those stupid carols that flood from the streets into my marvelously miserable home.
Crown didn't seem to need the hints and cleared his throat.
The fire of friendship lives in our hearts. As long as it burns, we cannot drift apart. Those quarrels arise, their numbers are few, laughter and singing will see us through. We are a circle of pony friends. A circle of friends will be to the very end.
The figure turned, staring at the group with malice in his eyes.
Foolish fool, with all these hearth-warming decorations, I am too powerful for even the elements to stop. I, Ragar, am unbeatable.
Suddenly, from vents barely visible through the tinsel, a tune came out.
As dawn shines on us every morn, the fire of friendship is reborn, and all the friendships we have made, we cherish in every way.
Ragar paused, looking to the vents.
Impossible without the decorations and gifts. Heartswarming's cancelled. How could they possibly be singing? Loyalty binds us and makes us strong. Honesty shows that we belong. And kindness shared will unite us through each day. The fire of friendship lives in our hearts, and as long as it burns, we cannot drift apart. Through quarrels arise, their numbers are few. Laughter and singing will see us through.
Twilight stepped up, smirking.
You're wrong, Ragar. Heartswarming isn't about all those silly gifts and decorations. Gilded Crown showed us the truth.
Gilded Crown's eyes grew 3 sizes as he stared at his hero. Rainbow Dash flew up, her elements appearing to glow.
Yeah, Heartswarming is all about friends and family, and as long as we have that, you can't stop us.
Gilded watched as all the fake elements began glowing. They looked at the elements with confusion for a moment before they all grinned at each other, getting in a position as if they were about to use their actual relics. Rarity was the one to deliver the finishing line.
And with our new friends, we can put an end to your evil deeds.
And without the elements fired, a magical beam of rainbow energy flew from the young ponies, hitting Ragar full force. As the energy flew into him, he let out a shriek.
No!
The energy faded, leaving an apparently unharmed Ragar in their wake, at least until a rainbow-tinted pool started spreading from his hooves.
I'm melting! My pure velocity has been used against me for dramatic purposes!
He began flailing as he collapsed into goo.
If only I had accepted the magic of Heartswarming or moved someplace else. How could this happen?
Finally, his head sank into the pool. The 6 Marison Colt stared for a moment before the voice called out one more time.
Varg, I am dead.
The group jumped as yet another gust of rainbow flew through the chamber, causing all the decorations to fly from the room. When the holiday torrent died down, a very worried stallion was left in their place. He looked back and forth, desperately, before his eyes fell on Gilded Crown. Crown? Before the mares even had time to comment, the stallion ran towards the colt, sliding to a stop with a hug. Oh, I heard you went on some quest to stop some creature who stole this town's decorations, and then I couldn't find you. I swear to Celestia, I am not leaving you alone ever again. Twilight smiled as a soft sob came from behind her. She wasn't even surprised to see the face of Ragar behind her. The green fur slowly faded, leaving only a blank skull. A napkin was held in a bony hand, dabbing at the dry skull.
Oh, Ragar loves happy endings.
Twilight smiled, tapping the skull with a hoof.
Me too, Ragar. Happy Heartswarming.
Ragar nodded.
And a Merry Christmas to you too. Ragar's glad you played along, and when you meet Black Sun, he has gifts for all of you from Ragar.
Twilight raised an eyebrow, but before she could comment, Ragar left. She smiled, as the rest of her friends walked up to introduce themselves to the stallion holding their new friend. But after a moment, she realized something.
Wait, what's Christmas?
You know, I'm a little late on this too, but might as well anyway. And besides, it's funny as always. Anywho, let's get on to our comedians of donators. Top donators are 630, J Tinman, Only One Thing, Ceru, Orion, and IronSky. Darkside, Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel Skies, Austin Rolan, Stu Hex, Sword Brother and Mortured, Omicron Lyrae, Will, Chris, Twinkie, Riot Soul, Badass Waffle, Shadow Moon, Luigi88, and many more hilarious people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.